Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at Times Now over the last 1 week have been showing you visuals of what this country is facing. We've been showing over the last couple of weeks the barrage of distressing visuals that have come across from hospitals, from outside several testing centers, from outside several hospitals and dispensaries and even crematoriums, where the administration, the frontline workers have all been under huge stress as the number of people affected with coronavirus and those requiring ICU and hospital beds with the oxygen supplies. The problem of remdesivir supplies across the country for seriously affected patients and of course the dead bodies of those who haven't really been able to surmount the challenges of the COVID-19 infections. Lining up at crematoriums, huge waiting queues even at crematoriums. And that has been the story that India has seen unfolding over the last couple of weeks. As India touches 2.71 lakh infections in a single day in the last 24 hours, the biggest need tonight is of vaccination, and therefore the government has taken a decision after a meeting chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Till date, India has vaccinated more than 12 crore 38 lakh people, and now this number is going to go up substantially because there has been a liberalization of the vaccine policy followed by the government so far. 47% of our health workers have been vaccinated so far, and after almost 3 months of the vaccination drive, we still have a long way to go because it is stated that about 60 to 70% of the population must be vaccinated before we can develop herd immunity, and our population standing at 138 crores. So tonight the government of India has taken the giant leap in fighting this virus that is ravaging across India. Tonight we can't really thank our opportunities that have been provided to us through this new policy which will make everybody above the age of 18 years to be free to get the vaccination starting the 1st of May. What tonight India cannot be selective about is that its population, which had so far to be divided into different age groups because the supply of vaccines was limited. The government has now opened up this, and now more vaccines will be available. Vaccines that are available across the world will now be allowed to come into India, and people below the age of 45 also will now be eligible starting the 1st of April. And we have exclusive information coming in, exclusive information of the blueprint that has been prepared by the government. And this blueprint really tells us that Sputnik supplies are going to hit India by the end of this week, and these supplies, which will come in bulk in a wholesale situation, will then be bottled in India and be available to be distributed across India from the 1st of May. Added to this will be the fact that top corporates, top PSUs will now be allowed to procure vaccinations which could be of their choice, whether they want Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, Sputnik, AstraZeneca. They can all use these procurement techniques for their own employees, their families, and however they want to distribute it. The prices will be paid for them, the amounts that they require will be paid for them, but this will increase the number of vaccinations that will be spread across India, taking those numbers up. The government's target is that possibly between May and June, 10 crore people will be vaccinated every month. May and June, 10 crore each, which will take the total target of vaccinated people in India up to 50 crore people. Earlier, this was expected to be only 30 crore people by the end of May. With this open policy now, the government really raising the target and opening up vaccine supplies coming in from across the country. And to talk about this, I'm joined by a very, very esteemed panel. Joining me tonight, Professor K. Vijayaraghavan, Chief Scientific Advisor to the government and to the Prime Minister, K. Srinath Reddy, who's the President of the Public Health Foundation of India. Also joining us are going to be our political guests, excuse me, including Gaurav Bhatia, BJP spokesperson, Shehzad Poonawala, lawyer, Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, Ashutosh, senior journalist, Jasmine Shah of the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, and we'll have our guests from the Trinamool Congress also joining us. But first to you, Professor Vijayaraghavan. The first question many people are asking is, why did we hold back for so long? Why did we do this 60 plus and then 45 plus and finally come down to the 18 plus population? Could we have opened vaccination procurements from other sources earlier than we have decided only after, the ravages of the second wave of corona infections have virtually peaked in India?
Both the evolving nature of the pandemic and the evolving nature of vaccine development, manufacturing, authorization, and availability. All of this takes time. Both the pandemic evolved in its own way, but the vaccine development was something which took place with great speed. Emergency use authorization was given to 2 vaccines in India. Now there's a third, and vaccine imports for those which have been authorized in other countries can come in. So all of this takes time to process the logistics. Timely now that it's been expanded, and this will allow a great boost in manufacturing and distribution and availability. But I don't think it could have been done significantly earlier.
Professor Vijayaraghavan, people are saying now, that we possibly saw the signs earlier on. We've seen the experience of other countries like United Kingdom. We had seen countries like the United States, other European countries seeing a second wave of COVID infections rising. Yet we fail to see the warning signals and prepare ourselves for what we are now seeing as a scramble to get health infrastructure back in position to deal with the second phase of corona infections. Do you think vital time was lost because the warning signals were not read?
Last year, around the same time and a little earlier, there was a sense of having to deal with this in a manner where everyone has to get together. And that brought everyone together at a time when we knew rather little about the virus and the nature of its interaction with us. We rapidly learned a lot about that, developed not only vaccines, but also PPEs, ventilators, hospital processes, and so on. So right now, as the first wave came down, we were actually very well prepared in terms of multiple components to deal with other eventualities. Now, why didn't we foresee this intensity? There are multiple reasons for that. One reason is COVID fatigue. People stopped following the kinds of instructions which one still needs to follow. The other is an excessive belief that somehow vaccinations being introduced, vaccines being available, somehow magically pushes the virus away. The whole challenge that vaccine manufacturing and distribution takes time, and in that period we must still be careful, is something which all of us need to have understood much better. Be that as it may, we now have much better tools at hand to deal with the situation than a year ago. So it's very important now for us to use everything at hand, get together, and not only crunch the second wave, learn from this and prevent a third one from coming.
Professor Raghavan, I want to get in K. Srinath Reddy as well, but Professor Raghavan, before I go to him, I want to ask you, there was hesitation in opening up vaccine for all, even though political parties had been demanding over the last couple of weeks. Now that it has been opened up for all ages above, all people above the age of 18 years, do you think we will have enough supplies to meet with the demand of vaccines that's likely to come up? Initially, there have been problems of vaccine availability, even with the restricted age group of 45 plus. Now, in the next 12 days, are we going to be able to get the supplies to the extent to be able to deal with the demand that will arise after the age limit has been lowered?
There are three components to vaccination when they're available. One is scaling up manufacturing enormously, then packaging, filling and finish after all the permissions have been got, and then the distribution chain, which is again very, very big and very complex. As we see now, the situation is that not only have we authorized Sputnik right now, but other vaccines will come in, Johnson & Johnson particularly. Novavax will come in after it's authorized by other regulators. Serum is going to be manufacturing that. So we're going to have massive increased production. And with the new flexibilities announced today, these companies will be able to give 50% of their manufacturing to states and to other entities in a manner which will rapidly scale up manufacturing. So overall, I think manufacturing and availability, importantly, is going to scale up very substantially over the coming months. And this will certainly address the logistical complexity which is needed for both fill and finish and delivery.
K. Srinath Reddy, I want to ask you, while everybody's been questioning whether we were late to, decipher the second wave, were we late to get the warning signals? But the fact is the government has put money on the table, 4,500 crores being given without bank guarantees to both Serum Institute and Bio for the production of Covaxin as well. And it's putting its money where its mouth is, and clearly the intent is very clear, opening up imports. But there are some skeptics who still say that what about testing facilities? Is the reaction of these authorized vaccines which are used abroad in the United States, will they need to be tested on Indian patients as well to see the reaction on the Indians really, and whether they have any side effects? Do you think this is a plan that has had enough consideration that has been put into it, or do you think some fears will still remain?
There are three components that we need to look at. Firstly, are the vaccines which have been approved by credible regulators abroad going to be permitted here without the requirement of a bridging trial preceding their release into the supply chain? I think it is absolutely essential to do that without subjecting to those kind of restrictions, because as long as our regulator has access to the data that have been reviewed by the regulators abroad, and I emphasize credible regulators abroad, then I think we should not delay the introduction of those vaccines. And it's good that those constraints have now been removed. The second element is whether the vaccine companies which are manufacturing in India should be incentivized and supported by the government of India in terms of providing adequate financial support to scale up their production so that the volume will actually quickly enter our supply chain and keep our vaccine targets reasonably well in sight. I believe yes, because most countries have done that. The United Kingdom did that. The United States did that. And the European Union too did it. Therefore, we have to really look at how we can actually invest in supporting the companies, provided the public purpose is well served. Therefore, it's for the government to make sure that its investment is being paid off in terms of adequate supply of vaccines at reasonable prices into the government-operated supply chain and to the state governments, and not just preferentially into the private supply chain. The third element that comes in is it going to benefit people with this kind of a relaxation of age? Certainly, the more we can vaccinate, the better it is. But however, I would like to make one appeal. Today's plan says that the Government of India supported free vaccination program in the government facilities would continue to operate for people 45 years and above as it is at present. But for people below that age group, then they would either have to go to the private market where the supply would be available, or would have to be substantially supported by the state governments. I believe it is incumbent upon the state governments to ensure that poor families are not denied the opportunity to avail of this vaccine, because if we were only to depend upon the private market, there could be an income inequality. So I believe that
very good point raised by Dr. K. Srinath Reddy, President of the Public Health Foundation. And let me get in our political guests. And I want to ask this straight off the bat to Jasmine Shah. Jasmine Shah, all this while we've seen state governments, people who are in the opposition to the BJP-led government at the center, only questioning the center. When there is a vaccine strategy that is restricted, that is really putting its emphasis on testing, on bridge testing to be done and data to be provided. At that point in time, there was criticism that, you're not opening up, you're not allowing vaccine for all, you're only restricting it, and that is never going to build up the herd immunity. Now, I want to ask you, Jasmine Shah, are state governments ready to put money on the table to accommodate the 18 to 45 age categories into the vaccination system, and also put money for taking care of the poor in these age groups? Because the rich will pay for it. What happens to the poor people in these age groups?
Navika, I can't talk about other state governments, but let me tell you what Delhi government has already done. We have already put in the budgets in our annual budget, which was announced on the floor of the assembly, that it is the Delhi government that is willing to fund a universal vaccination program, rich or poor, old or young. This is the #1 priority of ours as a nation. If center wants to contribute, we welcome it. But if center is not going to contribute, we will fund it. But let me come back to your earlier point that you mentioned, which is there is no meaningless sort of a complaint that we are giving here. We would have no questions would have been asked of the center if today 50% of India's population was vaccinated. We all know that today UK and US has vaccinated 60% of its adult population. Why is India only vaccinated less than 10% of its population? And that is where it asks or questions the entire prudence of the strategy center has adopted, where you've not been able to give vaccines. Aapne Tika Utsav launch kar diya only to see that the vaccinations have gone down. Even in Delhi, Navika, you are aware that we used to do 1 lakh vaccinations per day almost 2 or 3 weeks back. We were expecting that we would hit 3 or 4 lakh by now. But today we are doing 60 to 70,000 vaccinations per day. We don't have enough vaccines. The conditions are too limiting. So this is where center neither is aggressive to vaccinate all its people, nor is it allowing states like Delhi, which has said that give us 3 months and we will vaccinate all our people at our own cost. But you're not allowing us the conditions or the flexibility to do so. That is why we are criticizing it. That is why we are saying that the center has completely fumbled when it comes to its vaccination strategy.
Well, Gaurav Bhatia, respond. The Aam Aadmi Party government has said that the restrictions that were imposed, and now if you had to come to this, credit wars have broken out. The Trinamool Congress has come out, put out a tweet and said that it was Mamata Banerjee who had suggested it. The Shiv Sena has come out that it was Uddhav Thackeray who suggested it. Sitaram Yechury says that they were saying this from day one. everybody out there is out to take the credit and faulting you for the vaccine policy followed so far, which may have delayed the immunity development of the people of India. Respond to Jasmine Shah.
The central government and Narendra Modi ji, because today I saw Arvind Kejriwal actually praising Narendra Modi ji and all the cooperation that is extended by the central government to the state governments. Sharad Pawar ji also, best to my knowledge, had praised the kind of support he has received from the central government. So probably the tallest leaders of their party and the spokesperson are not in line with what to say. But let me start with the topic of the day. Today is actually a very important day in the history of our country. And why do I say that? You know, with a population of 135 crores and still deciding to start the implementation of universal vaccine drive for people above the age of 18 plus shows the firm resolve of the Prime Minister to ensure that every human life of the Indian citizen is safe. But आज मुझे एक बात जरूर कहनी है. अभी तक नाविका जी जो लोग कह रहे थे कि सबको वैक्सीन क्यों नहीं मिलता है, मैं 1 घंटे के अंदर आपको बताऊं वो क्या कह रहे थे. वो कह रहे थे कि डिमांड सप्लाई चेन जो है टूट जाएगी. तो उनके रिश्ते के जो मोदी जी के साथ है, एक लाइन अर्ज कर दूं, कभी आंख उठाकर जो देख लूं, कभी आंख उठाकर जो देख लूं तो कहते हैं झुका नजर, कहते हैं झुका नजर, किया सजदा मैंने जो पांव पर तो वो बोले इतना गिरा ना कर. सो ये लोग रुदाली गैंग के मेंबर्स हैं, ये कभी खुश नहीं होने वाले, ये लोग छाती पीटेंगे. लेकिन इन आवर फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर नाविका, there is a central government and then there are state governments. And best to my knowledge, I read the Constitution. The state list makes it the responsibility of the state governments to ensure that there is proper health and care. The problem here is the politics behind the vaccine. Do you know why? Every Indian has faith in Narendra Modi ji and his ability to deliver, even if the population is 135 crores. And so successfully we have implemented the vaccination drive till now that not even a single state can give an iota of proof that there has been shortage of any vaccination. Rather, the only thing is there is politics. प्रधानमंत्री जी कब लगाएंगे? लगवा लिया तो नर्सेस क्यों साउथ इंडिया से थी, अंगोछा क्यों आसमीज था. जब कोवैक्सीन लॉन्च किया, कोवैक्सीन की एफिकेसी खराब है, इससे तो जान चली जाएगी. आज छाती पीट पीट के what are they saying? Give us more vaccine, give us more vaccine. Imagine, Navika, had we paid heed to the advice of Mr. Rahul Gandhi, then today the production would not have been there. But it is the far-sightedness of Narendra Modi ji, the effort of Harshvardhan ji that is ensuring that we are able to vaccinate the largest population in the world, because nobody knows about the numbers in China.
Well, Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla, respond to that, because everybody has been very, very quick to criticize. Of course, last year COVID was handled flawlessly, given the fact that we were caught by surprise, given the fact that the numbers, the infrastructure, everything was overwhelming. We've been internationally applauded for the kind of handling that we had of the COVID situation last year. And when the vaccination drive started, all sorts of questions. You are using Indians as guinea pigs, this trial result, that trial result. And today, every state is demanding more vaccines. So, Tehseen Poonawalla, there is a need for even the opposition to introspect. Do you criticize everything that the government is doing, or do you sit down and decide what is good for the entire country? Is there any cooperation that's ever possible between the government and the opposition ranks on especially issues like a pandemic? Tehseen?
Good evening, ma'am. Of course, a cooperation is not just necessary, it is a must. But here are a couple of facts that you kindly allow me to put in front of you uninterrupted, like Jasmine and Gaurav were. Point number one, as you know, ma'am, my matter was supposed to come up today, vaccination for all, before the Honorable Supreme Court, but Honorable Justice Mr. Ashok Bhushan did not sit today. And I'm very grateful to the Government of India to have verbatim taken what was in the plea and opened up vaccination for all above the age group of 18. But here are
so you want the credit आपकी पेटिशन की वजह से किया मोदी जी ने ये?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. It's not. If Modi does not get to the Supreme Court, that's fine. But the credit should go to Mr. Modi, to all the chief ministers, and to the opposition, Dr. Manmohan Singh and Rahul Gandhi, for taking Mr. Modi on the right path. Now, I want to raise a couple of very fundamental points. Ma'am, day one, had Mr. Modi, as Gaurav rightly said, health is a state subject in our constitution. But what Gaurav is not telling your viewers is since 2020, the entire country is under the Epidemic Act, which is an act that the British had enacted, and a Disaster Management Act, under which Mr. Modi centrally is controlling vaccines. I've said this a number of times on your show. Jasmine has said it right now. What happened is, let me give you a practical example. There is one more vaccine being manufactured in Pune, MCure, which is now Genova is manufacturing India's first MMRA vaccine. When I called up T.S. Singh Joji, who's the health minister of Chhattisgarh, saying their vaccines here, they've gone in first phase, second phase, can Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra pre-book? The health minister of Chhattisgarh told me, look, Tehseen, this is not in our hands. Only Mr. Modi can pre-book it. This was not needed. Jasmine said a valid point. If Arvind Kejriwal ji was taking the responsibility of vaccinating Delhi, that responsibility should have been Arvind Kejriwal. Second point, when it came to Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson, something I said on your show, this should have been opened up way before. And like the United States, UK, and Israel orders placed before, these orders should have been placed before, or the respective state governments should have been allowed to place the orders for that. What would have happened, ma'am, is, somebody like you, me, Shehzad, or Jasmine, who can afford vaccines, would have got it. This would have reduced the burden of the central government. My last point, it would cost us totally, the central government, 80,000 crores to vaccinate the entire population in rupees. You don't need to spend 80,000 crores because the poor and the frontline workers, what the government should do, which is a cost about 40,000 crores. 28,500 crores has been spent by Narendra Modi ji on the Central Vista project and 2 new planes. Had this money been spent on vaccination, neither would Tehseen have to go to Supreme Court, neither would Arvind Kejriwal, Rahul Gandhi, Manmohan Singh have to plead, and neither would Harshvardhan have to act like a fool.
So Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla, Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla, the easiest way that you can actually direct which way the money should go is for Mr. Rahul Gandhi to win elections. When he wins elections, he can sit and make the budget and decide what money to spend where. Gaurav Bhatia, respond. Gaurav Bhatia, but respond. Respond to Tehseen Poonawalla.
First of all, I think Narendra Modi ji has this knack of even reading the mind of people who are his strongest opponents and critics. And therefore, what Tehseen wanted, Narendra Modi ji has done. But my friend Tehseen, I will just teach you a few things, especially in law. Read the Disaster Management Act. And from Section 14 to Section 24, the state government has also a lot of powers. And the state government can actually also devise a plan for fighting any sort of pandemic, which should not be contrary to the central government. So please don't say that bed ventilators. Can I complete my point? Did I interrupt you, my friend?
You are lying.
Did I interrupt you, my friend? Did I interrupt you, my friend?
You are.
Did I interrupt you? Did I interrupt you? I'm asking you.
You are lying.
But one line from me has disturbed you so much that you are interrupting. Navika, please. Request him. The genius of Tehseen
Poonawalla, you made your point. Allow Gaurav to respond, and then I'll come back to you. Let's be fair.
Sure, fair enough. But come back to me. Yes. Sure. Because he's misleading.
So you can wait, my friend.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Fair point.
Yes.
I will. Yes. Fair point.
Okay. So my first point is that there are state disaster management committees also. They can also devise a plan which can't be contrary to the center's plan. Bed, ventilators, oxygen, if there is a shortage of that. Should we not blame the Maharashtra government, the Chhattisgarh government? What was their plan? My second point is the vaccine. Please, Tehseen, when your turn comes, let us know. Why did Punjab, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan government oppose the Covaxin? Why did Shashi Tharoor and Jairam Ramesh cast doubts on the efficacy of Covaxin? My third point is the good thing is 2 Indian vaccines have been developed in a short period of 1 year. Do you know that it generally takes 5 years to develop a vaccine? But credit goes to a scientist as well as the government. Second, 35,000 crore budget
Why? Because there was far-sightedness on part of the Modi government. Third, fastest vaccination done to 10 crore people. Do you know 85 days? Faster than what US could do, other developed nations could do. Don't you think that there is some credit that is due to the government? Always, don't be pessimistic, don't be a naysayer, don't be like Rahul Gandhi. Become a citizen of the country who can actually pray.
That's the point. Jasmine Shah, I'm coming to you, Ashutosh and Shehzad, but I just want one quick point from Jasmine Shah. Jasmine Shah, the Delhi government had demonstrated last year on how if two political parties want, they can work together. And they can work together even if they have political and ideological differences. And we saw how Home Minister Amit Shah and Chief Minister of Delhi Arvind Kejriwal sat together and got the extra facilities required in the national capital, which gets pressure from all the neighboring states in terms of hospital beds, etc., etc. The question here is, this time around, there has been a blame game, Jasmine Shah, because yes, the second wave was possibly, the warning signals were not read by the center, but they were not read by Delhi as either. The testing facilities have gone down. The fact that the infections have been increasing and the national average is about 16.5 as far as the positivity rate is concerned, but Delhi is close to 30%. And there has to be some onus that the Delhi government will also have to take, rather than only pointing fingers at the center.
Navika, first of all, let me correct you, and I completely disagree with you that there is any sort of a blame game. We in Delhi are very responsible that the time that we are going through today is unprecedented. And therefore, the only duty that we have done is put plain facts in front of the people. Let me tell you what those plain facts are. First, you said that the testing has gone down. Sorry, that is not right. Today, Delhi is the only state in the country that is testing 4 to 5 times above the national average. We are testing 90,000 to 1 lakh people every day. States as large as West Bengal or even larger states are testing lesser than what Delhi is doing. Number 2, we have asked in very genuine spirit, in spirit of federalism, that because center owns a lot of, they run a lot of hospitals in Delhi. They have around 10,000 beds in Delhi. So they should also dedicate enough number of beds, at least 60 to 70% like we have done towards COVID. Do you know how many beds today, when you see Delhi going through the worst phase, how many beds has center allocated? They've allocated only 1,800 beds out of 10,000 beds. BJP also runs the MCD. They have 3,200 beds in Delhi run by MCD. They have dedicated only 200 beds, mind you. So we are putting these facts and we are requesting them that this is not the time to try and cross swords. Let's work together for the people. Let's ensure maximum bed availability so that lives are not lost. Similarly, oxygen. When we talked about oxygen, we have only said that this is the time to increase oxygen supply to all the states that are going through the worst phase of pandemic. Instead, we are seeing suppliers being told by the center to divert oxygen to other states. These are all facts. These are not blame game. And we have still not received any response from the center.
So Shehzad Poonawala, I'm coming to you, Gaurav Bhatia. Shehzad Poonawala, Jasmine Shah is being very polite. This is the new form of politics where you don't call it a blame game, but you put the facts which actually point fingers at your opponents. Does this take away from the fact that there is finger pointing that is going on? Shehzad?
नहीं, अगर चूहे को स्क्विरल बुलाएंगे तो चूहा थोड़ी नहीं रहेगा, वो तो चूहा ही रहेगा ना, उसको नाम किसी भी नाम से बुला सकते हैं। अब 3-4 झूठ आपके सामने प्रस्तुत करना चाहता हूं जो बोले गए, और अफसोसजनक कि आम आदमी पार्टी के प्रवक्ता इतना बड़ा झूठ बोल रहे हैं। ये अरविंद केजरीवाल का 2 दिन पहले का बयान मैं आपको सुनाना चाहता हूँ, प्लीज सुनिएगा।
हमारे पास सफिशिएंट ऑक्सीजन है, देश के कई हिस्सों में कई चीजों में ऑक्सीजन की कमी है, दिल्ली में ऑक्सीजन की कमी नहीं है। वी आर गुड ऑन ऑक्सीजन।
वी आर गुड ऑन ऑक्सीजन, ये केजरीवाल जी 2 दिन पहले अपने बहुत फेवरेट चैनल को बोल रहे थे। अब कल रात को गिड़गिड़ाने लगे कि ऑक्सीजन खत्म हो गया। इनके होम मिनिस्टर 4 दिन पहले कह रहे थे 13,000 बेड है, वी आर गुड ऑन बेड। अब कह रहे हैं हमारे पास बेड नहीं है, हमें बेड दे दो। इनके मुख्यमंत्री, हमारे मुख्यमंत्री 6 दिन पहले 10 अप्रैल को कह रहे थे लॉकडाउन लगेगी नहीं कोई भी स्थिति में, सिर्फ रिस्ट्रिक्शन लगेगा, तो आज लॉकडाउन घोषित कर दिया। देखिए दिक्कत यह है ना नाविका, एक है तहसीन पूनावाला जैसी बिरादरी जो हर चीज के लिए क्रेडिट लेना चाहती है। मनमोहन मनमोहन सिंह ने आइडिया 18 तारीख को दिया, वो 11 अप्रैल को इम्प्लीमेंट हो गया था फॉरेन सोर्सेज से वैक्सीन जो अप्रूव हो रही है उसको लाने का, पर क्रेडिट इनको चाहिए। और दूसरी बिरादरी है जैस्मिन की, जो हर चीज के लिए ब्लेम देना चाहती है। देखिए, काल रात्रि की आज पूजा हो रही है, नवरात्रि का दिन है, आप लोग भी पूजा कीजिए, अड़चने जो है कम होंगी। और मैं केवल 2 बात कहना चाहता हूँ, आज जो इन्होंने कही कि 12 करोड़ ही वैक्सीनेशन हुआ है, दिस इज नॉट 10% ऑफ इंडिया पॉपुलेशन, करेक्ट, बट वी हैव कंप्लीटेड 12 करोड़ इन 92 डेज, अमेरिका टुक 97 डेज, चाइना टुक 108 डेज। ये अच्छी उपलब्धि नहीं है भारत की। अब मुझे बताइए कि इन्होंने बोला कि दिन में कितने वैक्सीनेशन हो रहे हैं, 6 लाख 7 लाख, टीका उत्सव में बहुत कम वैक्सीनेशन, कंप्लीटली रॉन्ग। टीका उत्सव के दिन 33 लाख वैक्सीनेशन प्रतिदिन हुए, किसी दिन पर 40 लाख भी हुआ, और कम से कम वैक्सीनेशन 16 हुआ जब से हमने शुरू। आज हमने वैक्सीन फॉर ऑल शुरू किया है, आप उसका क्रेडिट लेना चाहते हैं तो लीजिए, पर यहाँ पर दिक्कत यह है कि जब एक पॉलिसी इंप्लीमेंट होती है तो इनकी लड़ाई कोरोना के खिलाफ नहीं, मोदी के खिलाफ है। इनके लिए पॉलिटिक्स मायने रखता है, पैंडेमिक नहीं। इसीलिए राहुल गांधी के जो समर्थक यहाँ पे बैठे हैं, इनसे मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ, एक ही बात केवल पूछना चाहता हूँ, अगर आपके पास इतने ही तरीके तरकीब थे कोरोना से लड़ने के लिए, तो भाई साहब महाराष्ट्र में जो स्थिति बनी हुई है, हर रोज 60,000 से ज्यादा केसेस, आप वहां पे एक स्थिति क्यों नहीं लागू करते? और राहुल गांधी तो खुद ही बोल रहे हैं कि सोल्यूशन नहीं है, लॉकडाउन नहीं, सोल्यूशन नहीं है।
Quick response from Tehseen Poonawalla before I hit the break. Ashutosh, I'm coming to you. Tehseen Poonawalla, quick response to Shehzad Poonawalla.
10 seconds quick answer. In the second wave of COVID, 20,100 Indian citizens have died. Can Shehzad or Gaurav tell me how many of these citizens were vaccinated? Zero. And it is this debt that the central government bears. Had it allowed Maharashtra and Delhi to vaccinate its citizens, we would not have had so many deaths.
Well, Tehseen Poonawalla, unfortunate that you bring in... Unfortunate that you bring in the number of deaths. To you, it might be just statistics. Tehseen Poonawalla, you're talking about people from families and you are blaming somebody for these deaths when this is actually unfortunate. This is actually how many, if somebody begins to ask you, Tehseen Poonawalla, and I don't want to politicize it, but you raise the issue, let's ask how many of these died in the state of Maharashtra alone, and then will you repent on that? Think about it. While I'll take a short break, I'll come back after this very short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and Ashutosh, senior journalist, joining us on the show. Apologize for coming to you this late, but Ashutosh, I want to ask you this question. Why does everything have to end up in political bickering in our country? Right now, if you look at the tweets that have come out from some of the major political parties, instead of celebrating the fact that more people in India will get vaccinated, more people in India will possibly be in a position to defeat the corona infection that in the second wave seems to be even more deadly than the first wave that we saw last year. But what are we seeing? The Trinamool Congress coming out and saying, we said it first. Uddhav Thackeray saying, we said it first. P. Chidambaram saying, oh, Dr. Manmohan Singh said it first. Why does everything have to be about this, Ashutosh? And if everybody feels that the centre hasn't handled it, it's all very well. But this morning, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal said that there would be no no migrant crisis simply because this is just a 6-day lockdown, and he appealed to everybody. And look at the visuals that we are getting from the Anand Vihar bus terminal. Crowded, people standing together. Problems are there everywhere in an unprecedented situation like this. But why are there credit wars and blame games right in the middle of such a crisis that is a national, international crisis?
See, Navika, I think unfortunately the political establishment has let the whole country down. There is no doubt about it, and I include from the Prime Minister to the Rahul Gandhi and to the Sharad Pawar and everybody in. If there is a 270,000 cases in last 24 hours, and this will increase in another few hours, then who is to be blamed for? If there is a central government, obviously the central government has to be blamed for. If there is a state government has to be blamed for. Very often we are taking the name of Maharashtra government, but I'm very sure, very, very sure within 2-3 days, the UP is going to take over Maharashtra because the situation in UP is so pathetic and so bad. I belong to, my family lives in Lucknow, and every day I get a phone call and I just shudder. I do not know what is going to happen. Everybody I'm talking to, everybody has got a corona positive. So if there have been enough indication given by the expert in the last 6 months or so that there will be a second wave of corona that will be more dangerous than the earlier one, which government, I want to know, which government in this country, from state government to central government, had made preparations for that? Yes, Arvind Kejriwal has announced a lockdown. Did he prepare for that? Did Maharashtra government prepare for that? Did central government prepare for that? No, they did not prepare. They did not take the experts' advice seriously. So if the governments were asking for the credits, and if there are people who are dying, if there are people who are not getting enough places for the cremations, then they should also get the discredit. And unfortunately, situation is so bad, I can't tell you. Even you must be knowing your relatives, my relatives, everybody is in such a situation. So if Mr. Modi was looking for credit earlier, now he should look for the discredit people are criticizing. And in which spirit Mr. Harshvardhan has written a letter to Manmohan Singh. He doesn't have even the basic courtesy. The Manmohan Singh, despite being in the Congress, had been a prime minister for 10 years. The letter was written in such a bad spirit. It's a badly written letter. I do not know if Harshvardhan has written. Whosoever has written the letter, he should get he should not be there, in fact. It's such a badly written letter. And then you blame Uddhav Thackeray, you blame Harshvardhan also.
But now I respond.
Well, let's blame everybody, but let me ask Mr. Gaurav Bhatia. Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, I must ask you, at least 2 BJP ruled states have been ticked off by the high courts in those respective states. The Allahabad High Court has today had to come in and even nudge the government to take administrative decisions. They've talked about lockdowns. Now, courts having to decide lockdowns. You can cry till the cows come home about what is the judiciary's job and what is the executive's. The fact of the matter is that the situation in some places in Uttar Pradesh is appalling. Similarly in Gujarat, the Gujarat High Court also made an observation that possibly, the numbers that were being reported of those infected, that those who had lost their lives were probably not the real numbers, and questions were asked. I want to ask you, Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, why is it that we, in the middle of a pandemic, also begin to pat our own backs that we've done very well, we've got international acclaim, we are doing this and we are doing that, when the problem is still not behind us? And just when we pat ourselves, we see another bomb that just explodes in our face. And Gaurav Bhatia, some of that blame will have to be taken by the center as well.
So, Navika, first of all, when you say that we are patting our own backs, I don't agree with you. Nobody is patting their own backs. Rather, sometimes you also show the optimistic side of the entire thing. You don't want the entire picture to be gloomy. You don't want the doctors who are working day and night to save human lives to know that, at the end, we will not emerge as the winners. And I think Narendra Modi ji, whether it is Thali Bajao, 9 minute, 9 baje, every time he's tried to, encourage people who are working day and night to defeat the pandemic. Second, when you talk about Allahabad High Court and Gujarat High Court, I can cite you many examples of the Delhi High Court, Maharashtra High Court, but I will not do that. I will only say whether it is the executive led by Narendra Modi ji or the judiciary of the country, all have good intentions, and sometimes there could be difference of opinion. But that does not mean that, one is right, the other is wrong. Because even Allahabad High Court has just given, directions to have lockdowns in 5 cities. Whereas Yogi ji thought it was a very well-calibrated move to ensure that the migrant workers and the other poor class, they do not suffer, so there would be a partial lockdown. That cannot be said that, the government has been reprimanded. But I just want to say, one thing, Navika, if people want to ask Narendra Modi ji, how is the PM Care Fund, spent? I can give the statistics. Why doesn't anybody raise the question, what about the CM Relief Fund in the Congress-ruled state, in Delhi? How has it been spent? Second, when they talk about the vaccine, will they not admit that so far the vaccination drive has been very smooth? Yes, people have tried to, raise apprehensions which are not well-founded, but not a single state can say that there is a shortage of vaccination. Rather, non-BJP ruled state, because there was a serious situation there.
Well, Tehseen Poonawalla, there's one fact that you will have to there's one fact that you will have to concede. The fact is that while you point fingers at the center, the fact is that there are farmer protests that are still going on in Punjab. Look at the situation in those farmer protests. You've pointed fingers at the Kumbh Mela. Well, the Prime Minister reached out to them, and whatever the damage that has been caused, the fact is that it did end when, many people raise their objections. Even rallies, most political parties have now come and said that they will cap the people attending rallies to 500. Most political parties, including the BJP, have put up LED screens for virtual rallies to be held. But what about the farmers? Would you take some responsibility and accountability for the farm protests that are happening in various parts of Punjab?
2 quick points. Mr. Devendra Fadnavis's nephew, as per news reports today, way below 45, got his second dose of vaccination, where none of us have got. How is it that BJP leaders are continuously found with remdesivir and with vaccines? It is unquestionable. Times of India exposed the lies in Gujarat on death. Please tell me, today I got the most heartbreaking call. I got a call for a reservation in Shamshan. People in Uttar Pradesh are burning bodies on the footpath. Times of India.
Which I've seen more places telling.
I'm asking you a question on Punjab, for God's sake, Tehseen Poonawalla. I'm asking you a question on farm protests in Punjab. Will you stop going to Uttar Pradesh and find a ticket to go to Punjab by train or by air, whichever way you can?
In the farm protest, I made... In my speech in the farm...
कोई जवाब नहीं है शहजाद पूनावाला, कोई जवाब नहीं है. यूपी जाना है, देवेंद्र फडणवीस के बारे में बात करना है, लेकिन पंजाब के बारे में कोई जवाब नहीं है. पूरी इंडिया की बात करेंगे.
If you hear the answer, please allow.
UP is double that of Maharashtra.
Can I just have one line?
UP is lying on its numbers. You know it and I know it. UP is lying on its numbers. Times of India has exposed it. Gujarat is lying on its numbers. Times of India has exposed it. There's a booking for Shamshan.
Let me speak, Tehseen. This is not fair. I also want to end on a positive note, Navika, because you have always asked for positive news to also be shared in this doomsday kind of scenario. But Navika, before that, just a point that Tehseen के लिए पंजाब में जो farm rallies हो रही है, farm protest हो रहा है, those are corona proof. बंगाल रैलीज में कोरोना पॉजिटिव हो जाएंगे, पर वो पंजाब सरकार allowing these rallies to go on, that is corona proof. But Navika, after a gloomy day, I just want to share that at least on your show, we have the opportunity. It's not all gloom and doom. Here I have a very nice report, and I thought I should show it to you, that beyond the call of duty, Delhi cops have gone around even during the weekend curfew trying to arrange for oxygen and trying to arrange for remdesivir. And I think every citizen and every person is feeling responsible and is trying to do more than what they can do beyond the call of their duty. So these politicians...
That's right. On a day when the government has decided that they will allow vaccination for all people above the age of 18 years, on a day when the Prime Minister has sat over and finalized a blueprint to make these vaccinations available to the population of India to somehow reach the herd immunity level, on a day when we know the numbers are daunting, on a day when we know there is a lockdown in some states, it's our job to actually stand with every policymaker, with every administrator, because really it's not easy for anybody to tackle with a problem that's magnitude is as large as what we are facing today. And on this day, every single individual who is helping their own family, friends, people they know, and on a day when there are people, and those visuals where the frontline workers are working for us, police people who are picking up oxygen cylinders and actually providing them to patients who need it very, very urgently. On that day, I think it's also time for some thanksgiving that there is a good heart around us somewhere. There is a good helping hand around us somewhere. And let's really look at some of those positive stories rather than just fretting about the politics, the credit wars. Let's look at the blessings and count them. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on this debate. But before you go,